In the vast expanse of space, a young alien prince finds himself abandoned on a desolate planet after a treacherous betrayal. With his ship damaged and his companions gone, he must fend for himself in an unfamiliar world filled with dangers beyond his imagination. As he trudged through the rocky terrain, a sense of loneliness engulfed him. He longed for the familiar comforts of his home planet, for the warmth of his family and the laughter of his friends. But they were all gone now, lost to him forever. Just when he thought all hope was lost, a figure appeared on the horizon. A human girl named Sarah, her hair tousled by the wind, her eyes filled with curiosity. The prince watched her approach, unsure of what to expect. "Hello," she said, her voice echoing in the silence of the desert. "Are you all right?" The prince hesitated, unsure of how to respond. He had never encountered a human before, but there was something about this girl that intrigued him. She radiated kindness and compassion, qualities he had seldom seen in his own kind. I am fine," he finally replied, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "Just lost." Sarah smiled sympathetically. "I know how that feels. I'm Sarah. What's your name?" "I am Zalkar, Prince of the Valerian Empire," he said, feeling a pang of sadness as he spoke of his lost kingdom. Sarah's eyes widened in surprise. "A prince? What are you doing here all alone?" Zalkar sighed, a heaviness settling in his chest. "I was betrayed by those closest to me. Now I am stranded on this planet with no way to return home." Sarah frowned, her brow furrowing in concern. "That sounds awful. But don't worry, you're not alone anymore. I'll help you." Zalkar looked at her in disbelief. "Why would you help me? I am a stranger to you, a member of a different species." Sarah shrugged, a playful glint in her eyes. "So what? We're all just beings trying to survive in this crazy universe. Plus, you seem like you could use a friend." Zalkar couldn't help but smile at her words. Despite the vast differences between them, he felt a strange sense of connection with this human girl. Perhaps in her company, he would find the strength to endure this harsh new reality. "Thank you, Sarah," he said, gratitude swelling in his chest. "I'm grateful for your kindness." Sarah grinned, her eyes sparkling with warmth. "Anytime, Zalkar. We're in this together now." As they journeyed together through the desolate landscape, Zalkar and Sarah shared stories of their respective worlds and the challenges they faced. Despite their differences, they found solace in each other's company, their laughter echoing across the barren plains. One evening, as they rested by a makeshift campfire, Sarah turned to Zalkar with a mischievous glint in her eye. "Tell me more about your home planet, Zalkar. What's it like?" Zalkar smiled wistfully, the memories of his lost kingdom flooding back to him. "Valeria is a beautiful world, filled with towering cities and lush forests. My people are proud and noble, with a rich history of honor and tradition." Sarah listened intently, captivated by his words. "It sounds amazing. I wish I could visit someday." Zalkar's heart swelled with warmth at her enthusiasm. "Perhaps one day you will, Sarah. But for now, I am grateful for your companionship here on this strange planet." Their conversation was interrupted by a rustling in the bushes nearby. Instantly alert, Zalkar sprang to his feet, his hand instinctively reaching for his weapon. Sarah followed suit, her eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of danger. "What was that?" Before Zalkar could reply, a figure emerged from the shadows, its alien form illuminated by the flickering light of the campfire. Zalkar tensed, ready to defend himself and Sarah if necessary. But to his surprise, the newcomer raised its hands in a gesture of peace. "Please do not be afraid. I mean you no harm." Zalkar studied the stranger with caution, his senses on high alert. "Who are you? And what do you want?" The alien bowed respectfully. "My name is Sams, and I come in peace. I have been searching for the lost prince of Valeria, and it seems I have finally found him." Zalkar's eyes widened in disbelief. "You know who I am?" Sams nodded solemnly. "Yes, Your Highness. Your disappearance has caused quite a stir in the galaxy. Your people fear the worst, but I am here to offer my assistance." Zalkar exchanged a wary glance with Sarah, unsure of whether to trust this stranger. But there was something about Sam's demeanor that reassured him, a sincerity in his words that resonated with Zalkar's own sense of honor. "Thank you, Sams," Zalkar said, his voice filled with gratitude. "We could use all the help we can get." And so, as the three unlikely companions sat around the campfire, They forged a bond that would carry them through the trials and tribulations that lay ahead. Together, they would face whatever challenges the universe threw their way, united by friendship, courage, and a shared sense of purpose. As they continued their journey across the desolate landscape, Zalkar, Sarah, and Sams encountered unforeseen challenges that tested their resolve like never before. From treacherous terrain to unexpected encounters with hostile creatures, they faced each obstacle with courage and determination. One day, as they traversed a rocky gorge, a sudden tremor shook the ground beneath their feet, sending rocks tumbling down the cliffs on either side. Zalkar, Sarah, and Sams scrambled for cover, their hearts pounding with fear as they struggled to avoid being crushed by the falling debris. After what felt like an eternity, the tremors subsided, leaving the group shaken but unharmed. As they dusted themselves off and surveyed the damage, Zalkar's gaze fell upon a narrow passageway that had been revealed by the rockslide. "We should investigate," he suggested, his voice filled with curiosity. "There may be something of value hidden within." Sarah and Sams exchanged wary glances, unsure of what dangers might lurk within the darkened depths of the passageway. But Zalkar's curiosity was infectious, and they found themselves drawn to the mystery that lay before them. With cautious steps, they ventured into the passageway, their senses on high alert for any sign of danger. As they delved deeper into the darkness, they stumbled upon a hidden chamber, its walls adorned with ancient runes and symbols. "It appears to be some kind of ancient temple," Sams observed, his voice filled with awe. Zalkar nodded, his eyes scanning the chamber for any clues as to its purpose. "Indeed. Perhaps we have stumbled upon something of great significance." But before they could investigate further, they were ambushed by a group of hostile creatures lurking in the shadows. With weapons drawn and hearts racing, Zalkar, Sarah, and Sams prepared to defend themselves against the unexpected threat. As the creatures closed in, the trio fought with all their might, their determination unwavering in the face of danger. Despite being outnumbered, they refused to back down, their bond as allies stronger than ever. And though the battle was fierce and the outcome uncertain, they emerged victorious, their spirits undaunted by the challenges they had faced. For they knew that as long as they stood together, they could overcome any obstacle that stood in their way. After their harrowing encounter in the hidden temple, Zalkar, Sarah, and Sams continued their journey with a newfound sense of urgency. As they traversed the unforgiving landscape, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, their every move monitored by unseen eyes. One night, as they made camp beneath the starlit sky, Sarah voiced her concerns. "I can't shake the feeling that we're being followed," she confessed, her voice tinged with unease. Zalkar and Sams exchanged a knowing glance, their suspicions confirmed by Sarah's words. "It would seem our enemies are close at hand," Zalkar remarked, his voice grave with concern. Sams nodded in agreement, his eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of danger. "We must remain vigilant. Our foes will not rest until they have captured the prince." As they settled in for the night, a sense of foreboding hung heavy in the air. Despite their best efforts to remain alert, sleep eluded them, their minds plagued by thoughts of the dangers that lurked beyond the safety of their campfire. But just as they were about to succumb to exhaustion, a figure emerged from the shadows, his presence sending shivers down their spines. It was none other than the warlord who had betrayed Zalkar and left him stranded on the desolate planet. "So, we meet again, Prince," the warlord sneered, his voice dripping with malice. "I must admit, I did not expect to find you alive. But no matter, your time has come to an end." Zalkar's blood ran cold at the sight of his sworn enemy, memories of their past encounters flooding back to him in a torrent of anger and resentment. But this time, he was not alone. With Sarah and Sams by his side, he felt a newfound sense of strength and determination. "We will not let you harm him," Sarah declared, her voice ringing with defiance. Sams nodded grimly, his eyes flashing with resolve. "You may have betrayed him once, but you will not do so again. Not while we still draw breath." The warlord laughed cruelly, his gaze flickering between his adversaries with contempt. "You dare to defy me? You are nothing but insects beneath my heel. Prepare to meet your doom." But Zalkar and his companions refused to back down, their spirits unbroken in the face of overwhelming odds. With a mighty battle cry, they charged into the fray, their weapons blazing with righteous fury. And though the battle was fierce and the outcome uncertain, they fought on with unwavering courage, knowing that, together, they were unstoppable. For they were more than just allies. They were friends bound by a bond that transcended time and space, and as long as they stood together, nothing could stand in their way. After narrowly escaping the clutches of the warlord, Zalkar, Sarah, and their alien allies sought refuge in a hidden stronghold. Among them were beings from distant worlds, each with their own grievances against the tyranny of the warlord. As they rested within the safety of their newfound sanctuary, Zalkar couldn't shake the feeling of unease that gnawed at his heart. He knew their enemies would not rest until they had captured him and claimed the artifact for their own. Sarah noticed his troubled expression and reached out to him, her touch a comforting reassurance amidst the chaos. "Are you all right, Zalkar?" Zalkar forced a smile, though his eyes betrayed his inner turmoil. "I am fine, Sarah, just wary of what lies ahead." But Sarah could see through his facade, her gaze piercing through the walls he had erected around his heart. "You don't have to pretend with me, Zalkar. I know how much this means to you, and I won't let anything happen to you." Zalkar's heart swelled with gratitude at her words. In Sarah, he had found not only a friend, but a kindred spirit, someone who understood him in ways he had never thought possible. Meanwhile, Sams conferred with the rebel leaders, sharing information about their enemies' movements and devising a plan to thwart their schemes. But even as they plotted their next move, whispers of betrayal echoed through the halls of the stronghold. It soon became clear that not everyone could be trusted, that even among their allies lurked those with ulterior motives. And when the truth finally came to light, it threatened to tear their fragile alliance apart. One of the rebel leaders, a being known only as Kale, had struck a deal with the warlord, offering to betray Zalkar and his companions in exchange for power and riches beyond imagination. And now, as they stood on the brink of war, they realized that their greatest enemy may have been hiding in plain sight all along. But Zalkar and his companions refused to be swayed by fear or doubt. With their unwavering resolve and the strength of their friendship, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their quest to save their worlds from destruction. For they knew that as long as they stood together, they were capable of overcoming even the greatest of betrayals. With their alliance fractured and their enemies closing in, Zalkar, Sarah, and their remaining allies knew they had little time left to act. Gathering what supplies they could, they set out into the vast unknown, their destination shrouded in mystery. As they journeyed through the uncharted depths of space, they encountered countless wonders and dangers alike. Strange alien worlds passed in a blur, each one more surreal than the last. But amidst the chaos and uncertainty, one thing remained constant: their unwavering bond of friendship. Sarah glanced out of the viewport, her eyes widening in wonder at the sight of a distant nebula shimmering in the darkness. "It's beautiful," she whispered, her voice filled with awe. Zalkar stood beside her, his gaze fixed on the swirling clouds of gas and dust. "Indeed, it reminds me of home, of the nebulae that dotted the skies above Valeria." Their journey was not without its challenges, however. They faced hostile aliens, treacherous terrain, and the ever-present threat of their enemies lurking in the shadows. But with each obstacle they overcame, their resolve only grew stronger, their determination unwavering in the face of adversity. And as they ventured deeper into the unknown, they knew that the true test of their courage and strength lay ahead. For they were on a quest not only to save their worlds from destruction, but to discover the truth about themselves and their place in the vast cosmos. With hearts filled with hope and determination, Zalkar, Sarah, and their allies forged ahead into the unknown, ready to confront whatever challenges awaited them on their journey. For they knew that as long as they stood together, they were capable of overcoming even the greatest of trials. As Zalkar, Sarah, and their allies journeyed deeper into the unknown, the stakes grew ever higher. With each passing moment, their enemies drew closer, their relentless pursuit driving them to the brink of despair. But amidst the chaos and uncertainty, a glimmer of hope remained. For Zalkar, Sarah, and their allies refused to give in to despair, their spirits unbroken by the trials they faced. With unwavering determination, they prepared to make their final stand against the forces of darkness that threatened to engulf them. As their enemies closed in, Zalkar and Sarah stood side by side, their hearts beating as one. With weapons drawn and courage in their hearts, they faced their adversaries head-on, ready to fight to the bitter end. The battle that ensued was fierce and relentless, with laser fire streaking through the darkness as ships clashed in a chaotic dance of death. Zalkar and Sarah fought with all their might, their skills honed by years of hardship and adversity. But even as they fought valiantly, Their enemies seemed inexhaustible, their numbers overwhelming. For every ship they destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place, their relentless advance threatening to engulf them in a sea of destruction. Just when all hope seemed lost, a voice crackled over the intercom, cutting through the chaos like a beacon of hope. It was the voice of their allies, rallying behind them in a show of solidarity and strength. Heartened by their support, Zalkar, Sarah, and their allies fought on with renewed vigor, their determination unshaken by the odds stacked against them. With each passing moment, they drew closer to victory, their enemies faltering beneath the weight of their relentless assault. And then, finally, the tide began to turn. With a final, decisive blow, Zalkar and Sarah destroyed the enemy flagship, sending shockwaves rippling through the ranks of their adversaries. In the aftermath of the battle, silence descended upon the battlefield, broken only by the soft hum of their ship's engines. With their enemies defeated and their world safe once more, Zalkar, Sarah, and their allies breathed a sigh of relief, their hearts filled with gratitude for each other and for the allies who had stood by their side. Though the road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges, they knew that as long as they stood together, they could overcome anything that stood in their way. For they were more than just friends. They were warriors, bound by a bond that transcended time and space. And as they looked towards the future, they knew that no matter what trials lay ahead, they would face them with courage, strength, and unwavering determination. With their enemies vanquished and their mission accomplished, Zalkar, Sarah, and their allies set course for home, their hearts lighter than they had been in ages. As they traveled through the vastness of space, they reflected on the journey that had brought them together and the bonds that had formed between them. Zalkar gazed out at the stars, his thoughts a whirlwind of emotions. "I never imagined we would come this far," he admitted, his voice tinged with wonder. Sarah smiled softly, her hand entwined with his. "It's been quite the adventure, hasn't it?" Their journey had been filled with danger and uncertainty, but it had also brought them closer together than they ever thought possible. With each passing moment, their bond had grown stronger, their friendship a beacon of light in the darkness of space. As they neared their respective homeworlds, a sense of anticipation filled the air. Though they were eager to return to the familiar comforts of home, they knew that their journey was far from over, for there were still challenges to face and adventures to be had, and they would face them together, as they always had. And so, as they bid farewell to their allies and set foot on their homeworlds once more, Zalkar and Sarah knew that this was not the end, but merely the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. For as long as they had each other, they knew that anything was possible. And with hearts full of hope and determination, they set out to embrace whatever the future held in store. As they descended onto the surface of Valeria, Zalkar couldn't help but feel a surge of emotion. It had been so long since he had set foot on his homeworld, and yet it felt like no time had passed at all. The familiar sights and sounds of his kingdom filled him with a sense of nostalgia, reminding him of everything he had fought so hard to protect. Sarah squeezed his hand reassuringly, her presence a comforting presence by his side. "Are you all right?" she asked, her voice soft with concern. Zalkar nodded, a smile tugging at the corners of his lips. "I am more than all right, Sarah. I am home." Together, they made their way through the bustling streets of the capital city, greeted by cheers and applause from the citizens who had long awaited their return. It was a moment of triumph and joy, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of friendship. But even as they celebrated their victory, Zalkar knew that their journey was far from over. There were still many challenges to face and obstacles to overcome, but with Sarah by his side, he knew that they could overcome anything. And so, as they looked towards the future, they did so with courage, hope, and the knowledge that together they could overcome anything that stood in their way. For they were more than just companions, they were kindred spirits, united by a bond that could never be broken. And as they set out on their next great adventure, they did so with hearts full of love and determination, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead.